there was a firefight, a big firefight, actually, and you guys fought great.
Thanks. All I saw was you.
You shot us! I can't believe you shot us! I mean, you were dressed like stormtroopers.
Yeah. You shot us.
I said it to stun.
Yeah, well, you should have used kill.
What?
Well, just in case it wasn't us, I mean.
This armor doesn't protect you from anything.
Well, I told you.
How's it going, everyone? I'm SirJames, coming at you guys with yet another custom lightsaber review. This time, we're going to be taking a look at a lightsaber that was sent my way courtesy of Damien Sabers, which I'll put a link to the website in the video description down below. But here we have Ezra's lightsaber. More specifically, Ezra's first lightsaber in the Star Wars Rebels series. If you've never seen Star Wars Rebels, I would at least highly recommend checking it out. It's only 4 seasons long. Sure, the first season is a little bit slow, but the later seasons definitely make up for it, in my opinion. But here we have his very first lightsaber. Now, obviously, this particular saber isn't like the traditional way that most people are accustomed to when it comes to the lightsabers, but you have to note that for Star Wars Rebels, this is during a time period where, you know, the Jedi Order isn't like thriving as it once was. This is years after the events of Order 66, where most of the Jedi are either dead or in hiding. And we have the characters like Kanan Jarrus, who basically lost his master during the events of Order 66, which we've seen happen in the Bad Batch, you know, going through this whole process of eventually training Ezra to become a Jedi, or he has the potential to become one. And well, this is what Ezra decided to create as his very first lightsaber. Now, what's neat about it too is that you obviously have your main saber here, but this portion here isn't like a lethal blaster of some kind. This is more of a stun blaster. So during circumstances where he just didn't want to harm anyone, and until he becomes more comfortable with his training, I think this was a pretty unique build on its own that I thought fit the character quite well until eventually it broke. And then he got, you know, another cool one later on that he built from scratch without all of this added to it. But here it is once more. So on the bottom here, you do have the D-ring added, so you can clip it onto your belts. This little gadget here doesn't quite do anything. You could loosen the screw and rotate this red piece anywhere that you want it to go if you would like. Here we have like a little reflective lens. There's actually a little groove inside the internal chassis that shines a little bit of a light to go through. But as far as like the blaster mode and whatnot, it's not going to have a dramatic effect. It's just going to have a light shining through. That's pretty much about it. And then, of course, it is a 1-button activation. As for the install, this is a Xenopixel install. So this is actually the very first time that I'm checking out a Xenopixel saber as well. So I thought, you know, why not check it out with this design? Normally, I like to go for profis and stuff like that, but I thought, you know what? I haven't really reviewed Xenopixel. I know some people were curious about it, and I was a little bit myself. So I thought, you know, kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone in this situation. So before we actually fire this up, let me go ahead and kind of show you guys what it comes with, though. Now, everything did come in one of these nice large crates. You're probably familiar with this crate from the last saber review that I did before I had my 3-week hiatus, if you will, or was it 2 weeks? But in terms of what exactly do you get a lightsaber blade included. As far as the blade size, first off, it's going to be the 7/8 blade, but it's going to be running at the, I believe it's 36 inches, or it seems like it's 36 inches. It's a nice long blade to kind of get you started. You also get provided a lightsaber stand, which you could fully assemble and use if you also like. You do get one of these, which is a micro SD card to a regular USB, so you can go ahead and insert that. And so if you wanted to add saber fonts to it, you could do so if you didn't already have one of these readers. Of course, you also get one of these instructions, so if you want to set a combination of this box, you could. I never really use the box for anything. It's just what it comes with. They also included, for some reason, this, which appears to be some kind of I don't know what you call it, like grip tape, or maybe not exactly called grip tape, but it looks like it's something that you would wrap on a handle to kind of give you some form of grip. It's not leather or anything like that. It's just a little bit of a a lesser quality material, but not something that I would personally use. You also get a blade plug as well, along with all the tools that you need and extra retention screws as well, just in case if you lose anything. And last but not least, besides the hilts, you are also going to be given the instruction booklet, which I have in my pocket because I'm going to need that for my reference for this review, of course. So yeah, pretty much everything that you need to get it up and running, a nice little case to go with it, and you're pretty much all set to go. Now, in terms of if you needed to remove the chassis, especially if you wanted to, and you also get a charging cable, I forgot to mention that. But if you did need to charge this, basically what you would do is that first you would remove this section right here, this silver piece, which is going to be the speaker grill. And then you're going to go ahead and remove this little tiny screw down here. And you're also going to need to remove the button as well. Once you've safely removed all that, you can go ahead and remove the chassis. Now the chassis is going to be a little bit hard to remove because it's a bit of a snug fit. I guess best way of doing it is to carefully put something maybe through the top here without hitting the pins, and you don't want to use your fingers because you may short circuit it, as something that you could push down to get the chassis just low enough to go ahead and push it out all together. But you know, once you find a method that works for you, it's simply easy to do that, and then you can kind of go from there. So before I talk about how exactly do you add the fonts and how that process goes, let's go ahead and fire this up. It does have quite a bit of saber fonts. I don't remember the exact amount, but you have quite a bit to work with. In order to turn this on, you're going to go ahead and hold down the red button like so.
Power on.
And then you'll know it's on because it tells you that it's powered on. Now it does have a mute setting and volume low setting, so if the volume seems kind of low, I mean not low but high, you could hold the button for a couple seconds, let go,
Volume low.
and now the volume is low. If you do that again, it's going to go into mute.
Mute.
So when the blade is on, you don't hear anything whatsoever. So I guess a nice way to mess about if you don't want to disturb anyone. And if you want to put the volume back up, you just go ahead, hold down again.
Volume high.
And we're back to its high setting where you guys could hear it just fine. It does also have a thrust on and twist on activation. There you go. Which, let's go ahead and insert a blade so that way you guys could see it in use, because it's the best way. And let me make sure the blade is all the way. Cool. We are all set there. Now let's see what I did with the little tool here. There we go. We're just going to go ahead and tighten. As far as blade tightening, there are two sections, which I'm going to go ahead and show you in just a moment, where you can tighten the screws to ensure that the blade isn't going to go flying everywhere. You will need to also install these screws that are supplied in the box. You're going to find one located right here, and the other is on the other side. And that's pretty much it as far as the retention screws go. Once you have that all intact, you're ready to pretty much swing this blade around. Go ahead and turn off this light here. So like I said, it's got the twist on activation. And it's also got twist off. There you go. You just gotta make sure you twist it correctly, because it's a little bit of a weird shaped saber, so sometimes it kind of throws you off a little bit. And also mind you that everything that I'm showing in this video is default, so meaning I didn't add any fonts, I didn't change anything. This is simply, if you bought it, this is exactly how you're receiving the product as well. Now it does also have a thrust where you kind of go in a forward motion like that, and then of course just simply twist off. There's two ways of turning it off. There's the twist on and twist off, or there's the button. So you could just press the button like that, holding the button will also turn it off. Obviously doing the twist motion is just the fastest way of doing it, but it's up to you which method you want to go with. So let's see, where do we go from there? Let me try to demonstrate at least some of the other effects here. Now, some of the effects don't quite work how they're kind of showing in the book. And the one thing that I couldn't get working exactly is it has instructions, which let me go ahead and kind of show you what the instructions are, what that looks like for the motion controls. So they look like that. There's more in the booklet for other things, but there's a section here where it mentions how to enable the music and how to disable that as well. And that's the one thing I can't get working, but then again, I can't confirm or not if there's actually any music on any of the Saber fonts. So I don't know if all the fonts have music or not, or things of that nature. I just couldn't get that portion to work. But for the most part, everything else I was able to. For example, if you wanted to change the blade color, what you do is that when this is turned on, you're going to hold the button and hold it in a downward motion. While holding the button, it's going to cycle through the different colors, and the moment you let go, you can go ahead and go to that select color. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So note, we're starting on blue. I'm going to hold this downward, twist. There we go. As you can see, it's cycling through the colors. Once I find a color that I want, I let go of the button. So I let go of the button, it's now on red. It looks orange, but to confirm, it is red, as you can see from the reflection. And then if I want to go through the cycle thing again, I hold it down, press the button, twist, and then I just went back to the blue and I'm good to go. So pretty easy, pretty simple. It's not basically rocket science in this case. As far as changing the sound fonts, there are two ways to go about it. Option one is to hold down the button and then let go. Actually, no, you don't have to let go. You just hold it down. It takes a while to get to the next one. So again, you just press the button, hold down.
The teacher.
There you go. The other method, if I'm doing this correctly, is if you kind of hold it upside down. I'm just kind of holding it from the blade so you can see it. Is in the twist.
The second. The learner. The Dark Lord revisited. The champion.
So as you can see, when this is upside down and you do the twist, you can cycle through the fonts, and that method is a lot faster than holding down the button. Oh. There you go. Now sometimes, and I don't know if this is like a little glitch with Xenopixel, where sometimes it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and this is where I kind of get a little, what's the word I'm looking for, hesitant for a Xenopixel. So let's see if we could do that again. So, and I don't know if this is specifically on certain fonts or not, but just sometimes like it would work just fine, and like now, it doesn't do it. So let's see what happens if we change it to a different font.
The Dark Lord revisited.
Now let's try it.
The champion. Serenity. Idle. Hatred.
So it might have to do with the font, but I'm not 100% positive as it's my first time with Xenopixel.
Dark Ages. Cyber Terror. Codex of Light. The Count. Bounty. Redeemed. The Senate. Wraith. Truly Lost. Double Agent. The Princess. Fallen Apprentice Magenta. The Dark Lord Order. The Master. The Third Hunter. The Sun. The Dark Empress. The Protector. Wanderer. The Knight. The Assassin. The Dark Sword. New Horizon. The Chosen. Moonfield. Whispers of Power. The Teacher. The Second. The Learner.
So as you can hear from that, that's a lot of fonts on there. And we're back to the very first one that we started with, which would be the Ezra sound font. Now, if you want blasters, you could also press the button. And you get, of course, the effects that would happen down the blade as well. And if you notice, you also have a little bit of a light source from in there too. So that's what I mean. So even by activating the blasters, you're not going to see any form of effects at all. In fact, this little light is going to change depending on the color of the blade too. So overall, not bad. In terms of how does it feel in the hands, it's actually quite comfortable. Again, it's an interesting design for a lightsaber, don't get me wrong. Some people may not like the design, others may, like it as well, but you know, for me, I like it because it's very unique. It's very fitting for Ezra's character when we first see him kind of starting off, before eventually he started getting proper training and taking, before Kanan started taking the training a lot serious in terms of his role as a master teaching to an apprentice. But yeah, overall it's a pretty neat saber. As far as how Xenopixel is, Xenopixel is interesting. Now, obviously, typically when it comes to lightsabers and the internals, some people are going to find something that they like. Like for me, I love Profi, and then CFX would be probably my second favorites. As far as Xenopixel, I mean, don't get me wrong, Xenopixel isn't too bad of an option, because I think typically if you would go onto different sites and compare prices, I believe Xenopixel is like one of the cheaper options if you wanted to get into custom lightsabers. And it also going to depend on the hilt. Like obviously this one is a very different hilt. It's character based, so this one might be a little bit more than some of the other sabers. But it's definitely not too bad. As far as adding fonts, basically the way it is that on the SD card, which you can easily remove, by the way, it's not labeled where it's got the name of the particular fonts. It's just labeled by numbers. So 1 through, let's say, 32. I don't know how many actually are in here by default. But the way it works is that if you were wanting to add a lightsaber font, one of the easiest ways to go about it is by purchasing lightsaber fonts from Kyberphonic, for example, because when he has a lightsaber font, he has folders labeled for the different boards out there. So he's got one specifically for labeled Xenopixel and then Profi. So you're basically getting like a package deal for paying just a small fee. And the way it works, if you wanted to add said font to this hilt, what you do is that after you extract the saber font and put the SD card into the computer, you just look at what's on there. So let's say, for example, there was 25 fonts, because it's got 1 through 25, and you wanted to add that new one, you would simply rename that Xenopixel file as 26, click drag and drop into the hilt, and you're pretty much good to go, and just reinsert it back into your obviously the board back into here, and you are all set. So it's a pretty simple process. Some other lightsaber makers may also have it that simple as well. Kyberphonic is the one that comes to mind, and some of the other ones may not have it where it's that easily accessed, where you have to rename quite a bit, because the old method is that you had to put these quotes and stuff like that, which was very tedious. But again, it's not too bad as far as adding fonts if you wanted to. But yeah, overall, it's definitely not a bad hilt. I mean, I love the hilt overall. I think the hilt is great. As far as Xenopixel goes, again, it might be an option for people to get into. I don't think it's a bad option. You got your color change, you got gesture control on there, so a lot of the stuff that I normally like to have. And yeah, overall, definitely not too bad entirely. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoy this review, as I know a lot of you guys have been curious about Ezra's lightsaber. Now there might be a chance down the road, I'll have to see if maybe they have one as well, if I could find Ezra's second lightsaber. If they do also carry that one, then I'll be sure to pick that up and review that as well. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next review. You have a wonderful day, and always remember, may the Force be with you.